a money maker. I've been a record breaker, taking credit as an educator. I've been known to spit the flows and make it shaky, shaky thing. Poppin', lock and stop and let it hang. Watch us as we drop this hip hop, it's like it stings. We make the whole room drop and everybody sing. We want the funk. We gotta have that funk. We kick it old school, we think we're so cool. We take it back to the past, we gonna act a fool. Up jumps the middle.
Hello, 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 and welcome to Sports Buzz, the Fanatical View. I am your host, Scott D. Lewis, here in the studios of Comcast, Cable Channel 23, downtown chilly Danbury, Connecticut. The bitter Arctic freeze has come down from the North Pole a little early. Not Christmas yet, but it is chilly outside. We are here taping a show, back doing our taping routine. Still got a little ways to go before we can be live once again, but we're doing our best to get you some shows. So we're here in the week of November 20th, getting ready to talk about sports and getting ready for some Turkey Day, Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
That'll warm you up. Some hot gravy and some mashed potatoes.
Yeah. Well, at least it's not like up in Buffalo where it's 6 feet of snow.
I saw some images of that, and Midwest, Colorado got buried last week. Yeah, very cold, a lot of snow, even down south, pretty cold. 30 degrees down in like Alabama today or something like that. So cold weather
it was cold out there
everywhere.
this morning. It was 15 degrees out there doing crossing, I'll tell you that. It was cold.
Yeah, and there we hear our my right-hand man, and there we see my right-hand man. A picture from last year with the snow, but it felt like that out there today, right, Bob?
Oh, yeah.
Bob Broad Jr., how you doing there, Bob?
I'm doing good, Bob. Scott.
You're Bob, I'm Scott.
I know. I've had a rough...
He's still defrosting from being outside. Bob's show, of course, Spotlight on Tuesday nights at 9, Wednesdays at 12, covering a lot of the Danbury Whalers early season FHL action, I'm sure.
They're doing well.
And they are, 7-2 out of the gate in the early season of the FHL, which has them in second place behind Watertown at 8-1, Dayton right behind them at 6-2. So good start. Are they home this weekend or home over the holiday weekend?
They're home Friday.
They're home Friday, so Danbury Ice Arena is the place to be if you're looking for some good, wholesome
They got some returning players coming back this week too.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
All right, so get on down, support the Whalers. They always got the big crowds down there, usually close to sold out, standing room only a lot of times, so it's a good time. Hop on down and see if they can add to the early season success they're having. And of course, Mike Toohey is in the control room running things with his our new production assistant official in the credits now, Connor Faco, running. He's probably taking control of the show.
Yes.
Mike is probably just sitting back with his feet up at this point, I'm sure, letting Connor take full control of what's in there. But they're doing the show. Mike's Show Expose Cinema Friday nights at 9, Wednesdays at 1. We'll see if Mike McFadden shows up. Sometimes he gets here as we begin taping. And music in the background. Fatty Roots, of course. Don't forget, December 5th, Agent Mariner, Sunday afternoon. I'll be down there watching football and watching some music.
Oh, cool.
So that'll be a good time up in Ridgefield. All right, let's get to the NFL, Bob.
Where do you want to start?
Patriots. Looking good. Most people saying right now perhaps the best team in the NFL. The Arizona Cardinals do have the best record overall. Patriots now riding a nice long winning streak. 42-20 at Indy on Sunday night.
That was a very good game.
That was a nice game, as we see right there. Jonas Gray out of nowhere filling in for the injured Stephen Ridley. He goes for 199 yards, Bob, and 4 touchdowns. This was a guy they pulled off the scrap heap. I mean, he was on the practice squad until Ridley went down with the injury 3 weeks ago. No one ever heard of this kid. He played at Notre Dame, and here he is going for 199, 4 touchdowns. And there we also saw Gronkowski in one of those images. One of the best touchdowns I've ever seen. I still can't get over that, as he caught that nice little pass in the flat.
With his fingertips and
ran through, over, under, through everybody on the Colt defense throwing guys aside, bowling them over, and then diving through the final 2 defenders at the goal line to go into the end zone. Unbelievable play by the Gronk. And it actually even got a smile out of Bill Belichick on the sideline when Gronk was all fired up, dancing, celebrating, coming to the sideline, high-fiving everybody. And Belichick even pat him on the back, smiling, which you don't see all that often.
Very seldom.
Belichick pleased with the health, first of all, and the production of Gronkowski.
Right.
So for Patriot fans, basically, that's all it comes down to. Can he stay healthy for the entire season? We have yet to see him healthy in the postseason, and that's always hurt them. So the way they're playing right now, defensively, very good. The Brandon Browner and Del Rivas combination in the secondary is looking to be great. They're doing enough with their front line. The running attack for the Colts was pathetic. They ran for the running backs combined for about 14 yards, if that, total. Completely shut them down, and the passing game as well. So really good performance. They come home this weekend for Detroit, who has a great defense. They have Calvin Johnson healthy now, but they still are struggling scoring points. So that could be a tough, low-scoring game. We see, Detroit lost at Arizona this weekend, 14-7. We'll see if that Detroit defense can slow the Patriot offense down. I mean, remember, they beat Denver 43-21 before this Indianapolis 42-20 game. So they are racking up the points. Can Detroit in Foxborough slow them down? We haven't heard from Strange Man. We're on our strange schedule.
Yeah, he hasn't
in December, as we get more on a weekly basis, maybe we'll get him back in. But here's your stat of the week that I have for you, Bob.
What's that? What
is Matthew Stafford's record on the road since he's come into the NFL against teams with a winning record? Tick-tock, tick-tock. Any guess?
Let's see. This is the 10th week.
He's been around for not just this year. No, his whole career.
His whole career.
His whole career. Can Bob mull that one over? As he comes to New England, you want to give a guess?
I'll say he's 30-8.
Well, he hasn't played that many games on the road against teams with winning records, so that number is awfully high, and he has yet to record a victory, as a matter of fact, Bob. 0-15 all-time on the road against teams with winning records. Matthew Stafford.
What's his record overall?
I don't know his overall record, but I do know that record is not good, and it doesn't fare well for what the Lions are going to try to do in Foxborough this weekend. But they do have that great defense, and they are now tied with the Packers for first place in the North in the NFC, 7-3. So they're going to come in and see what they can do. In the AFC East, right behind the Patriots, as the Patriots are distancing themselves a little bit from the Dolphins at 6-4. Who beat the Bills on Thursday night last week, who fall to 5-5, and the Jets, of course, are pathetic.
The Jets are just.
Although they did beat the Steelers while we were away for 1 week, so they did break their losing streak. The Steelers, who had scored about 120 points in back-to-back games, came up lame in the swamp. A stinky Steeler performance in the swamp could cost them come playoff time because it's a very tight race in the AFC. Steelers at 7-4, half a game behind the Bengals in the North at 6-3-1. They're right in front of the Ravens and Browns at 6-4. Steelers are on the bye this week. And there we see highlights from an earlier season game. Colts, 6-4, got blown out early in the year by Pittsburgh. We saw the blowout against the Patriots. They also lost at home to the Eagles early in the season. So the Colts are starting to leak some oil here as they lose Bradshaw, probably for the season. Ahmad Bradshaw has been very good for them. He fractured his ankle in that Patriot loss. So they're starting to have some issues. You got to really wonder, how good is this Colts team? The Texans, who have a good defense, and they made the switch to the former Patriot backup Ryan Mallett away from Fitzpatrick. They are 5-5. They went into Cleveland and beat the Browns this weekend. So the Texans are hanging around with a potential MVP candidate, J.J. Watt, on the defensive side of the ball. having one of the best performances all time as a defensive player. So a lot of tight things going on. Out west, the Chiefs have pulled it in a tie. They did lose to the Broncos earlier in the season, but how about the Broncos going to St. Louis, Bob, and getting completely shut down? Held to 7 points.
The Broncos
in a
have
loss.
just been going slowly.
They are also showing some problems. Their running back situation is not good. Their 2 top running backs are out with injuries. They can't run the ball. They've got some problems on their offensive line.
Having problems getting the ball to
Emmanuel Sanders, who has been a big pickup, who took the place of the Jet guy. What's his name? The guy, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, Sanders is Decker. He took the place of Decker. He got lit up by the Rams, knocked out, concussed. So he has a concussion. We all know Welker's been playing through like 10 concussions. Looks like, a former person that he once was. Julian Thomas had an injury. He could be out this week. So the Broncos are starting to have some problems, and their defense isn't playing that good. Chargers, who has definitely had some problems, did come up with a win over the Raiders, so they sit at 6-4. So with all the Chargers' problems and a tough schedule coming up, they still are only 1 game behind
the
Chiefs and Broncos.
Not hard to get a win past the Raiders. The way
0-10. I think I heard something like they're 5-35 in their last 40 games or something like that. Really unbelievable. Just lose, baby. Oakland. But their defense, the Raiders are 0-10. They have had a brutal schedule playing all the top teams, and they do typically keep teams from scoring a lot of points as they held. I mean, it was 13-7, 14-7 against the Chargers this weekend. Chargers need to get their offense in gear, but the Chiefs could be the team to watch in the NFC West and moving forward as they beat Seattle this weekend, so that was a good win for them. They have the Thursday night game. Could be a trap game, Bob, because they are playing in Oakland, in the black hole on Thursday night. And as I mentioned, the Raiders have a way of making the games ugly. Even though they lose, offensively they got problems, and the Chiefs' defense is good, and they have a balanced offensive attack. But still, that could be a trap game.
Yeah, it's possible.
I think they got maybe the Broncos or the Chargers coming up after this Raiders game. So watch out for that trap for all you Chief fans out there. Fatty Roots to name one, and former evil director Kevin Gallagher, who I get simultaneous text messages from those guys every Sunday when the Chiefs do something now. Dare I say, Kevin Gallagher talking Super Bowl this weekend.
Oh yeah, okay.
He was jokingly saying it, but he is putting that in his mouth and saying it.
Let's not. We got ways to go yet.
I know one team that's not talking Super Bowl, Bob.
I know 2 teams ain't talking Super Bowl.
Well, we already got past the Jets.
Yeah, and now we're going to talk about my Giants, who are
lost 4 straight now?
Yeah, and
down to 3-7.
5, count them, 5 picks
in a 16-10 loss to the 49ers. When you turn the ball over 5 times and lose by 6 points at home, you're 1st and goal to go from the 4-yard line
and
in the waning moments of the game. 4 chances to punch it in for the win, and you cannot get it done.
Yeah.
5 interceptions for Eli and the Giants. And another loss, 16-10 to the Niners. And that was fresh on the heels of the 40-24 loss at Seattle. Or 38-17 at Seattle, and the 40-24 loss to the Colts.
Right.
Bad stretch for the Giants. I do kind of like them as a sneaky play this Monday night against the Cowboys coming off a bye week, however, Bob.
That's
at home, I believe, right?
Yeah, but Cowboys have been, they've been uncanny the last couple of weeks. So.
Well, Romo's got the injury. They had a bye week. They took care of business against Jacksonville in London. There was nothing special about that. They had lost that game to the Redskins a few Mondays ago. So, Giants, for that 38-17 Seattle game, was much closer than the final score. It was they were winning going into the second half, and in the third quarter, things got out of hand in the fourth. So if the Giants' defense plays well, he cut out the turnovers. I mean, at some point, the real Cowboys' defense is going to show up, right?
Oh, I don't know when that'll be. It might be the last week of the season.
Well, maybe it'll be. I don't know. I kind of like the Giants as a sneaky play this Monday night against the Cowboys. We'll see. And it is the Cowboys and the Eagles atop the NFC East right now at 7-3. And, the Redskins, my goodness.
Well, what's this?
Tampa Bay goes into Washington and holds them to 7 points and blows them out in D.C. Just unbelievable how bad they are.
Let's see, the Redskins quarterback's he's been having a bad year.
He is just ridiculous.
You know.
So not good things happening down in D.C. We mentioned the Packers tied with the Lions in the North at 7-3 with that Lions loss
that
to
Packers
Arizona
game
14-6.
was cold,
and Packers against the Eagles in a rout. Flew them out. What was it, 32-0 in the second quarter or something?
That's about what the temperature was. 0.
Cold day in Green Bay, and that game got out of hand fast. We saw the real Dirty Sanchez. What do you have? 3 fumbles, 2 interceptions, and he was getting sacked left and right under pressure. They gave up a punt return for a touchdown, fumble return for a touchdown, a pick 6, I think, as well. So defense, special teams, and offense involved for the Packers. Patriots at Green Bay the weekend of Thanksgiving.
That's going to be a
Sunday showdown, I believe a 4:30 game. So that's going to be a late Sunday afternooner. That's going to be good.
Who's playing Super Bowl? Who's playing on?
I believe on the Thursday night game I heard is San Francisco versus Seattle. Not sure exactly where that game is. And then I think, is it the Eagles and the Cowboys this year?
Yeah, I think it's it.
I'm not sure who the Lions are playing. I should have looked that up. I don't know who we got. Maybe Mike in studio can look up Thursday's schedule for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I don't have it here. In the South, Bob, what do you make of this?
Yeah, the first place team is...
Speaking of Dirty Sanchez, how about the Dirty Birds?
Yeah.
The Atlanta Falcons, behind back-to-back wins in division, 19-17 this week against the Panthers, 27-17 against Tampa the week before.
The league.
They pull their record to 4-6, which gets them in a tiebreaker ahead of the Saints, who are also 4-6 for the division lead at 4-6. Saints lose back-to-back home games, Bob.
None of the teams are above 500.
No, Panthers 3-7-1. Tampa at 2-8 is 2 games out.
Yeah.
At 2-8. Unreal. Saints, how about that? Bengals, after getting embarrassed last Thursday night at home against the Browns, they go into New Orleans and they completely shut down the Saints and they handle their business there. And that was after the Saints gave away the game to the 49ers a couple weeks ago in New Orleans, losing in overtime. That was a giveaway complete. So the South, it's looking like, remember the NFC West when that was the bad division 4 years ago? And Seattle won at 7-9. Ironically enough, they beat the defending champion Saints that year in the opening round of the playoffs in Seattle at 7-9. That was the big, huge beast mode when Marshawn Lynch, remember the back-breaking 80-yard run? Great play. And then the NFC West, we mentioned Cardinals. Best record in football, 9-1, Bob. They keep finding ways to win. Carson Palmer is done for the year. They're on to Drew Stanton, who is now 3-1, I believe, as a backup. And he also came in relief for one game and won a game. So not too bad as far as their relief goes, and their defense is top-notch. 49ers tied with Seattle at 6-4, Rams 4-6. How about college football, Bob? Bama knocks off number 1 Mississippi State 25-20 this weekend down in Bama. And they were winning 19-0 in the first half. Mississippi State rallied and, they scored with 15 seconds left to make it 25-20. I heard a lot of people making, big deal about how it was a one-possession game. It was a one-possession game with 15 seconds left. They had pulled it to 19-13, and then they let Bama march right down the field, basically uncontested. And they just did whatever they wanted to make it 25-13, and then it just took too long. I mean, Mississippi State, if they had scored that touchdown quicker, because they got the ball back with about 4 minutes, 3 minutes maybe, and they just could not score fast enough. They did finally score. They tried the onside kick, but not enough time. So they did lose. They will, I believe they stayed at number 4, dropped out of first, but in the top 4 for the playoff chase.
Right.
At 4th now, Florida State, defending champion, undefeated, 10-0. I believe they won, 29-26, rallied against Miami, is what Florida State does. They fall behind in every game this year after blowing everybody out last year. Now they're the rallying kings, and they did that against Miami. Oregon's the other top 4 team. We do want to mention quick, Wisconsin, Melvin Gordon, running back. Did you see that, Bob?
No, I didn't.
Set the record, 408 yards, I believe it was, rushing, and he did it in 3 quarters in a blowout against Nebraska. They sat him for the entire 4th quarter after he got the record. So that was a pretty big deal.
Quick thing to mention, WestCon football.
In the playoffs.
Yes, their 7-3 record got them to
so WestCon changes divisions last year. That has been good for them as they are now in the playoffs. So good for WestCon. We'll keep our eye on that. Of course, my CSU team was on the bye this week. They had beat up on Hawaii a couple weeks ago.
Right.
Before that, they'll come back from the bye against New Mexico, and then at Air Force. That'll be the tough game to end the regular season. They need to finish this situation at 9-1 in the top 25 in the AP, and try to get to the Mountain West Championship game and get in, which would put them in one of the big bowl games, one of the New Year's Day games, which would be huge for CSU in their program. UConn played at Yankee Stadium last week, losing to Army 35-21.
What a game that was. How did UConn below that? I don't understand.
Army takes care of their business, 35-21, and this was after UConn had snapped their losing streak with a nice home win, 37-29 against UCF, handing UCF Central Florida their first ever loss in the American Athletic Conference. They had taken them almost 2 full seasons.
Speaking of Army, we have a new figure to add to
we got a new bobble just on the edge there.
From Doc Blanchard, who was one of the top guys for Army.
Good one. Bob always coming up with new ones. College basketball got underway. I know time is ticking here, so let's get to that real quick. The top 5 is Kentucky, Arizona, Wisconsin, Duke, and Kansas. Sounds like the pollsters are lazy as usual, picking all the top teams, name brand teams. UConn is 17 defending champions, and they kicked off their season with a come-from-behind victory against Bryant, and that was nice to see, actually. Bryant give them a test, and the former Bethel standout, Dan Garvin, had a nice game, 10 points, 6 rebounds. Bryant led this game by 9 points. Early in the second half, before Ryan Boatwright took over. A couple names worth mentioning for UConn fans getting ready for the season. They got the Puerto Rico tip-off Thursday night against College of Charleston, but Sam Cassell Jr. That's a recognizable name for NBA fans. And Rodney Never Nervous, hopefully in service, Purvis. I need to look this up. Is he the son of?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Of a Never Nervous Purvis from the NBA days, Louisville.
It's possible.
I got to look that up to see. Of course, Brema is still here. Samuel coming off the bench. Nolan's still here. Omar Calhoun is injured to start the season, and it's going to be the Ryan Boatwright show. He really did take over the second half of that game. Very impressive. Speaking of Huskies, how about the former Husky early in the season, Bob? NBA action. Shabazz Napier comes into Brooklyn and helps lead the Heat to a come-from-behind second-half victory against the Brooklyn Nets the other night. 11 points. He scored a few threes. I was actually listening to this game on the radio, and sounded pretty good. He had some key contributions, hit a couple big threes while the Heat were rallying from their halftime deficit and taking the lead. They did hold on to win. Heat without, of course, Pawn James, Bron heading back home to Cleveland. They're 6-5 to start their season, and the Cavs also are 5-4, so not great out of the gate for Bron. And that. The Nets are not doing great as well. They're struggling a little bit. Knicks, of course, 3-9, losers of 7 straight. They snapped that winning streak, but then lost to the Bucks. Celtics on a little 3-game losing streak, 3-6. Tough injury for Marcus Smart, their number 1 draft pick, who had really looked early. Severe ankle sprain, so he's been out for a little bit. Rondo looks healthy and looks very good. Celtics, Bob, by the way, second highest scoring team in the NBA early in the season. And the Suns are the top scoring team. They lost 118 to 114 against the Suns the other night. Entertaining, high scoring Celtics action. They need Smart back. They need to learn how to finish. They were beating Brown and the Cavs by 19 points in the fourth quarter the other night. They lose.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Toronto, top team in the Eastern Conference at 8-2. Washington 7-2. Chicago 8-3. How about those Lakers, Bob? Bakers out west 2-9. Yeah. Horrible. Memphis 10-1. Houston 9-2. Let's make a quick mention of the NHL. Islanders, top team in the area, 12-6.
Right,
they're
Rangers.
enjoying that. They're picking up former Bruin Johnny Boychuk.
Yeah.
So they're right behind Pittsburgh. Bruins at 24 points, right behind Montreal and Tampa Bay. And your Rangers not doing so good, 18 points, Bob.
Well, what'd you think of that game?
The Ranger game where they won then lost?
Yeah.
Crazy. They won in the shootout.
Yeah.
They went into the locker room and then they got pulled back in.
And then they lost the shootout.
They did. All right, Bob. So this Sunday, you know there's NFL action, but do you know that there is a new rivalry in the MLS?
What's that?
New England Revolution versus the New York Red Bulls. I believe it's the first time these two teams are matching up in the postseason, and they are matching up in the Eastern Conference Finals. First leg of the 2-game set is Sunday afternoon, I believe, in New England. Actually, it might be in New York because New England has home field advantage. They'll play the second game following Saturday as New England took care of business, beating the Columbus Crew, and the Revolution the Red Bulls handled their business. I believe it was DC United that they knocked off. Both teams playing well. The Revolution have one of the U.S. men's heroes, Jermaine Jones, playing, who you'll recognize if you watch the World Cup. So check out that if you're looking for something else other than football.
When we come back,
I watched the first 2 games. They were great. We're running out of time.
I'll have some information on the Westerners. We'll have some updates come up too. So
and we'll check all that stuff out. We won't be here next week for Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody, and we'll see you after the Thanksgiving break. Take care. We'll see you next time.